everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue, and it is a beautiful Sunday, okay? I'm just feeling real Frankie Beverly and Maze-ish right now. Like, I feel like that's what's gonna be playing while I'm editing these videos. All right? All right, y'all, let's get into Iyanla Fix My Life. This was the second part to her female felons episode. And we started off the episode talking to Matilda, the 65-year-old lady that spent 18 years in jail for selling drugs or not telling on her sons, okay? Sorry. I'm trying to find the best way to say that. Because basically she wouldn't, talk to the cops about her sons and the drugs they were selling. But I feel like in some way you was involved in that. You were complicit. You were involved. I don't think she should have got sentenced to 30 years in jail because she wouldn't tell the police, information on her sons. Like, fuck out of here with that shit. I wouldn't do it either. But at the same time, I also wouldn't be the type of mother to encourage my sons to sell drugs knowing that they could possibly get killed out in these streets selling drugs, or that they could go to jail and lose their life in jail, or just the mentality of somebody that goes into jail for an extended period of time. I don't want my children to have to walk through that because I would feel that. I would feel that. I told y'all in my Bondy Blue Show video, if y'all ain't checked it out, about what's going on with my father-in-law, and that bothers me very deeply. And I can only imagine if it was the connection I had with my own child, knowing that they were out in the world and could possibly end up in jail for a great part of their adult life. I have cousins that's been in jail for most of our adult lives. And it's a painful thing to think about. You almost have to take yourself away from them so that you can stop feeling the pain on their behalf. But anyway, we get into Matilda. Y'all, Matilda is lying to Iyanla and lying to us. Okay, her second to oldest daughter, Keisha, told us that Matilda was in jail previously. Before she went to jail for the 18 years, she was in jail for 5 years for child abuse. Apparently, the first two children that she had were had out of rape, out of ancestral rape. She had 2 children, and she must have abused those children badly because she don't claim them, and she went to jail for 5 years for whatever it is she did to those children. But we still talking to her daughter, Keisha. And Iyanla makes Keisha understand that her mother was already shut down. Because, see, all the children think that Matilda is so cold and emotionally aloof. And really, she's always been that way. She's always been that way. You just didn't know because you didn't have her enough to really be able to gauge what you were getting from your mother. And your mother was already a broken young woman by the time she had got to child number 11 and 12, Iyanla gets the daughter to understand that she is stuck at the age of 7, waiting for her mom. And she may have to just accept the fact that she's never going to get what she wanted from her mom. You're never going to get that love that a mother gives a child when she's 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 and so forth. You're never going to get that because when you become an adult, the relationship between a child and a mother changes. And see, I had to go through that myself with my own mother because we went through this time period after Hurricane Katrina and after my father passed away where she started to date new men in her life. And I'd only seen her with my father my entire life. We're dealing with the fact that he's gone and what that meant for our relationship. I was already out in college and everything, but it felt different when my dad died. It felt way different. At first, when Katrina happened, it was still us. It was still the 3 of us. And I tell people all the time, like me, my mom, and my daddy, like we had a bond. It wasn't always perfect, but it was the 3 of us. And it was a real bond. And I can remember when we first got our house after Katrina, we, went and laid on the floor in one of the bedrooms to feel the carpet. My 60-something-year-old daddy, my 50-something-year-old mama, and my teenage self just laying on the ground in this bedroom being thankful for the fact that we have somewhere nice and clean and new and beautiful to lay our heads after going through something so traumatic. And I still wasn't good at that point, but we had something, and when he died, it changed. And the year that went by in between him dying and my mom starting to date and become this new person, y'all, it was an out-of-body experience, experiencing the difference between being my mother's child as a teenager and as a young child, and being her child as a grown woman. And that transition happened, and I felt it. And it was so weird for me. I can remember like going on this double date with her and this guy, and the out-of-body experience of that. Like the date was like, I can't even explain. It's like I was swimming or something like that. Like I could see everything going on, but it was kind of like swimming through some thickness of something without really being aware. I can't even really explain what it felt like. But I can't imagine not having my mother for the majority of my life, craving this type of relationship that I was not given. And then to become an adult and she's finally out and I finally have her and I still want this love of a child from my mother, but I can't get it because I'm not a child anymore. And she can no longer give me what I need in that way because she doesn't have it to give. As a child, those children would not have realized that their mother wasn't mentally, emotionally equipped to give them what they needed. And now they have to come to the realization that Matilda can't give you what you need. Matilda can be your mother. She can love you. She can talk to you. She can be in your life. She can be a better version of herself. But what she can't do is go back to when you were 6 and 7 years old and be the mother that you need from that time point now. She can't do that. Nobody can. And that was really a hard realization this episode for Matilda and for her children. Iyanla goes to Miss Matilda's room and she has them in a room where she has them writing stuff all over the walls, about themselves so that they can speak the things that they feel and they think out and put them on paper so that they could recognize what they are. It's so hard to gauge your emotions when they're all in your head or all in your heart. And sometimes writing out what you think about certain things can reveal to you something that you didn't realize. It's kind of like, you're too close to it, so you got to step away and look at it from afar in order to really gauge what it is. And I love those exercises that she uses with them. But she tells Miss Matilda, she was like, Miss Matilda, do I have permission to be real with you right now? Okay. And Miss Matilda's like, yeah, because she thought she was ready for the real. And she says, I need you to explain to me this. And she hands her a piece of paper. And the piece of paper has the names of all 12 children. You told me you had 10 children. I said I had 10 to 12 children. There's no such thing as I have 10 to 12 children. How many children do you have, Miss Matilda? You have 12. I don't want to talk about that. I dealt with that already. The fact that she thinks that she dealt with it, and that's when we find out that apparently somebody in her family molested her, came in her bed, and that's how she had those 2 children at 15 and 16, is because she was taken advantage of by a family member. We don't know who it is. She didn't delve into the, specifics of it, and Iyanla didn't ask her to. But Iyanla wants her to be honest with herself, be honest about her pain, be honest about her trauma. Stop thinking that not talking about it is going to protect you from it. Because you're living in the result of it. You are the result of the pain you refuse to look at, the pain you refuse to acknowledge, the pain that you refuse to even be real about to yourself. And Miss Matilda doesn't even know what the truth is. And y'all, this happens when years, go by and so much has happened in your life. And sometimes you don't remember it the way it actually happened. You just remember the feeling that it gave you. And that's it. And Miss Matilda, all she feels from everything that's happened in her life is guilt. She feels guilt because she wasn't equipped to be a mother. She feels guilt because of what happened to her, what happened to her in her own bed, in her own home. And women who have been molested feel guilt, like they did something wrong. And I get so upset about that because even though I've never experienced it, I'm looking at it from the outside and I don't understand how any woman could blame herself for someone taking something from her. And I know it's something that you deal with within yourself, but if I can say it to anybody that needs to hear it, it's not your fault. It is never your fault. There is nothing that you could have done in a situation to keep that from happening. And I'm talking to Miss Matilda specifically in this situation, but anybody that needs to hear it, that this has been done to, it is not your fault. It happened to you when you have to be honest about it, but that doesn't mean you have to carry the guilt of it. And that right there was the word. This whole episode, this second part was so deep and touched me in such a way. Not because I experienced any of it, but just the realization of how people will hide from the truth because they think that being in touch with that truth, that initial pain is too much for them to deal with, but it's not. If you've gone through it, then you can deal with the pain and the fixing of what has already happened in your life. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. People can say whatever they want to about Iyanla, about Rhonda, whatever the fuck you want to call her. That lady is a spirit, and that spirit is anointed. Whether y'all want to be real with that or not, it's the truth. It is the absolute truth, okay? Miss Iyanla tells Matilda, call me when you are ready to fight for yourself and be honest with yourself and deal with everything that is taking place in your life. You call me when you're ready, okay? And Miss Matilda walks out. She's like, okay, I will, God. Okay, I will, God. And see, that's the thing. People don't like to be told the truth. So ways for them to deflect from the honest truth is to look at you like you grandstanding. You trying to be God. You think you better than me. No, baby. Take your ego out of it. Take your ego out of it and realize what it is. It is the truth. Whether you want to accept it and deal with it, the truth is the truth. And the truth is you are a liar, Miss Matilda. You are lying about who you are. You are lying about what happened to you. And that does not make you a bad person. What it means is you have to deal with the fact that you're not telling yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth. Make the appropriate changes so you can be better. But you can't expect change if you won't be honest with yourself, because you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck. Y'all, the next scene was with Tai. And she has Tai sitting in a chair. And she asked her, what did she see? She has to close her eyes. She's getting emotional. And she keeps dropping this chain on the ground. Clink, drop the chain. What do you feel? Talk to it. Put words to it. And everybody wants to ball up and keep everything inside. And Iyanla always says, no, speak it. Say it. What does it feel like? What does it feel like? What is it? What is it? And eventually she says that she needed help. Y'all, that took me out. To know that Tai was a young girl that grew up in a drug house, that grew up with a drug-addicted mother. She needed help. And she could not ask for it because no one was listening to her. That is such a painful thing to me. To have a child, 5, 6-year-old little girl in this world, and she just wants to scream for help. But her mother is too drugged up to hear it. Y'all. Oh my God, Tai took me out because you can see, like, you know, people will sometimes carry, not sometimes, most of the time, people carry their shit with them, and Tai carries it like a bag full of tears. Like, every time you look at her, you want to hug her, and it's because she didn't even have that at such an early age. Y'all, that breaks my heart. Iyanla brings Tai and Brandy to sit down with Keisha and Nicole, or whatever the other daughter's name is. I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot the youngest daughter's name. And she sits them down because she wants them to have a conversation so that they can compare things. And one of the things they need to compare is their experiences with Matilda. In jail, her jailhouse daughters experience her as somebody that's always trying to help everybody else, somebody that's always trying to be there for somebody else. And her real daughters experience her as a mother that was absent, a mother that abandoned them, a mother that they've only seen 5 or 6 times, a mother that's missed everything in their lives, their first days of school, their first boyfriends, their first childbirth, missed everything. And because of that, she passed down the same pathology that she had to her daughters. Both of those girls had children at young ages, or at least the youngest one did. She had her child at 15. And nobody was there to help her. And nobody was there to guide her. And Iyanla wants her to understand that your mom, even if she was there, might not have been able to guide you because she was never given that guidance. She didn't have it to give you. And it's a pathology that keeps passing down. Mothers who don't know how to mother, creating mothers that don't know how to mother. And it's just sad, y'all. It's sad. And Brandy comes to the realization that they are like her children, that she's left behind and missed so much time with them. And the same thing with Tai. And what Tai breaks down and says is that when she was getting ready to go to jail, her 2 sons, who were still very young, she thinking that they don't really understand what's going on. In a day that she was supposed to turn herself in, they sitting on her bed early in the morning crying and trying to protect her feelings. That's what they have been doing the whole time, protecting her feelings, when really they are the ones that needed to be protected, because they're the ones that were about to go without a mother, that didn't have a father, that were about to be in this world alone. That right there. Yo, this episode was so heart-wrenching, I tell y'all. Iyanla says that they have to be honest, and they have to be honest with Miss Matilda, because Miss Matilda doesn't want to be honest with herself about what has happened. And one of the things Iyanla uses as a way to get them to understand what the truth is she says, my mother was a drunken hoe. My mother was a drunken hoe. She wasn't an alcoholic who died. She was a drunken hoe that went and laid up with a married man in his mother's house. She needed to be real about who her mother was so that she could take a look at that and realize she didn't have anything that she could really give me that I could really use to be a good woman, because she didn't have it. But see, you have to be real about that. You have to take the emotion and the guilt out of it. Not the emotion, but the guilt away from it. You have to take the ego away from it. Yes, it is hard to admit that my mother, the woman that born me, is a drunken hoe. But I had to admit that so that I could realize what her pain and her failure did to me. And therefore, I can admit what my failure would do to my own children. It's the realization that the blunt, honest truth is always needed. It doesn't matter whether you want to hear it or not. The truth is the truth, and it needs to be said. And sometimes, because I saw a comment on one of my videos, and it was saying how, oh, you know, we don't like talking about the police stuff, the police brutality and black folks getting killed by police because nothing is happening. And I'm like, what you have to understand is the voice has to become a roar before something actually has to happen. And if we get quiet about it and we don't speak on it, how does that help? At least if we're screaming about it, somebody has to hear it. It affects us all when somebody speaks out in honest truth. I don't know about y'all, but I watch some people, you know, like Angela Rye and Amanda Seales and people like that. And I don't always agree with everything they have to say, but every once in a while, not every once in a while, more than every once in a while, they drop a fucking gem. Okay, gem dropping. Drop a jewel on your ass about our experience as black folks in this country. And when you hear somebody else speak that truth out, it hits you in the chest like, yes, that is what it feels like. And yes, it may not change the laws right now, but just hearing somebody else acknowledge your experience will make you feel better. And that is what we're talking about here. You need to acknowledge the experience so that you can be honest with it, because the truth heals, whether we want to admit that or not. They also speak on how the youngest daughter had postpartum depression with her child, had nobody to help steer her through that. And her older sister found her beating herself in the stomach with a can, tried to kill herself and the baby because of her postpartum. And I'm just like, oh, Lord, wait, was she trying to hit herself with the can before she had the baby or after? I don't know. All I know is the pain and trauma that you have to go through as a person to respond in that way. You know, they're not showing it. They're both very, you know, subtle, meek young women, it seems. And to hear that that's the type of pain that they have up under all of this meekness, like, that's some real shit. That is some real shit to put something physical to that pain. But y'all, they have court. All right, the next day they have court, and Miss Matilda is in the hot seat. And Iyanla runs off all of the things she's, you know, being charged with, and, you know, being charged with being a bad mother, being charged with making bad decisions, being irresponsible, all of that, you know, and not being there for the emotional support of the children she brought into this world. So she brings in one daughter, and the daughter says how, the older one that's there, and she says how she felt that if her mother was in her life would have turned out differently. That's not necessarily the truth. You don't know that to be truth. And she needs Matilda to say to her daughter that you can't be what she needs. Miss Matilda don't want to say that. She's upset. She's mad at Iyanla. She don't want to say it because she doesn't want to say, I can't give you what you need. And Iyanla is trying to make her understand that just because you can't be what she needs you to be does not mean that you can't be there for your daughter. It doesn't mean you don't love her. But you got to stop draping everything with guilt and realize the realization is, and I love how Brandy and Tae jumped in and tried to be the voice of reason, because she had shut down from Iyanla, because now she's mad at Iyanla. And she wasn't mad at Brandy, and Brandy wanted her to realize you cannot be the mother to a 7-year-old child anymore, because your daughter is not 7 and you are not that woman anymore. You have to be different, and going forth be different. But tell your daughter, be honest with her and say, I can't give you what you need of me, but I can be the mother that I can be to you. I can be different for you, but I can't be the mother of a 7-year-old child anymore because my 7-year-old child is a 30-year-old woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just had a really hard time with the realization that the words have impact. And eventually Iyanla was able to get her to repeat that you apologize. Because she thinks she's saying she's sorry. No. You need to understand what you're apologizing for. You're apologizing for your failure. You are recognizing that you failed your children in some way. Refusing to admit that means that you are in some way denying them what you actually put them through. I'm sorry, y'all. She had called in the youngest daughter, not the older daughter. I'm sorry, the older daughter came in later. Iyanla gets Miss Matilda to say that she's an abandoned little girl that failed her children and therefore made them abandoned little girls that might fail theirs. So it was the realization that Miss Matilda at 65 is still very much a broken little girl, just like the broken little girls that are sitting in front of her begging her to be their mother, that she can no longer step into those shoes to fill. She has to work on herself. She has to fix herself. And then from there, she can be a better mother in the lives of her adult children. And her adult children have to realize that they have to heal regardless to whether their mother does. She can't give you that anymore. So now you have to work from where you are and what you have, not from the imaginary mother that you thought would be there for you. When the oldest daughter came in, she said, you know, you brought me into a world of mess. And that is what I am sad about, being brought into a world where I couldn't be loved and taken care of the way she feels that she should. And Miss Matilda breaks down and starts to cry. And she has them speak to each other and then them comfort their mother and, you know, tell them that they love each other. And she says, you can't fix it, but you can be different. And that's important, y'all. That's important. That's the message. And then after all of it, Miss Matilda was like, can I say something, Miss Iyanla? She said, yeah, you can say something. Go ahead. And she says, you are not against me. She was like, well, go figure. She was like, I told you during this process that at some moments you were going to be very angry with me, but I didn't tell you that I was going to fight for you, even when you wanted to fight me. And I thought that was some real shit to say. And that's what touched me the most, is that the realization that regardless to whether y'all want to, you know, see it or not, regardless to whether y'all actually see it or not, Iyanla, when she's in that mode, is very much being everything that she's presenting herself to be. I don't think there's any false pretense. I don't think there are any lies. I don't think there's any bullshit, none of that. I think when she's administering to these people, regardless to how they want to see her, because Miss Matilda made a comment about, oh, so we don't need you, we need a psychiatrist then. And it's like, see, don't demean what she's giving you because you want to fight it, because you don't want to admit it, because you don't want to deal with it. And she's the one that will be okay with you wanting to fight her. Also, she can get you to where you need to be to have acceptance and have a better life at the end of it. Y'all, I was touched by this episode. I truly was. All throughout, all of the women touched me. Her daughters, Miss Matilda, Tai, Iyanla, Brandy, they all touched me. And I really hope that they took something from this experience and brought it into their lives and continue to try to heal themselves and heal their families, and that they don't look at this situation like it was a fail or that it wasn't worth it. Because I don't know about y'all, but even when Iyanla doesn't help the person who she's setting out to help, I feel that I've gained something from watching her try. And that is why I feel like there is no bullshit in what Miss Iyanla gives. Whether y'all want to accept that or not, that is how I feel. That is my opinion on it. But like I said, I was touched. So it has to be real because it touched somebody, you know? But that's how I feel. That was Iyanla Fix My Life, y'all. She took me in and she took me out, said a word, gave love, told y'all y'all could be mad at her. She did everything she had to do. So I hope y'all enjoyed this review of Iyanla Fix My Life. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see y'all in the next one.